Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piewarski, coming to you live from the East Coast, coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown during the season's holiday greetings week. But Craig, today it's Hump Day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
That's right, folks. It is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes with not, but the fun is all in the trying. And Mike, today, well, let's just put it this way. I have an added incentive. Not only is this weekend going to be the New Year's weekend, but this weekend, actually not necessarily this weekend, but today, I would like to give a special shout out and anniversary, 30th anniversary. Congratulations to my wife. Yes, you've been able to put up with me for 30 years. For that, you deserve a prize, or at least a drink.
You guys got married during the holidays.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. A year to the day after I had proposed.
You were there. Oh, so it wasn't like one of them shotgun weddings kind of thing.
No, you know what? It actually worked out really well because ever since then, I've always had jobs or professions that have largely allowed me to kind of take the time between Christmas and New Year's off and be really flexible. Even now, even though this is the busiest time I've ever had during this time of the year, you know, I'm still only putting in a couple hours a day during this particular week. So it's all good, man. I love being married or celebrating my anniversary during this time.
Oh, are you done? I'm sorry. Congratulations to all of you that have to put up with Craig. Including good things. That's good. Good stuff there. Good
yeah,
stuff.
Well, you know, you have to put up with me too, but you do it from 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it.
And for about a half an hour a day.
So the anniversary's gone well. The holiday season's still continuing to go well for you?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Kind of quiet. Yesterday was kind of a rainy, stormy day, which is okay because we need the rain out here in California because, you know, it's not like we, you know, save water like we build dams in order to save water for when it's not a rainy day. So when we can get the rainy days, hopefully snowy days, it helps. But having said that, having a good time, really enjoying the holiday season.
Good stuff.
How about yourself?
Good. Listen, I'm enjoying it so much. I made my own eggnog yesterday. I made my own nog. So,
how do you make eggnog? I mean, other than, you know, buying it from the store and adding brandy or bourbon.
Well, the way I do it is you drink a lot of eggnog, you drink a lot of bourbon, then you make your own.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I thought you made the actual like eggnog.
Oh, I made it. I mean, it looked like eggnog anyway. Or I got to see a doctor.
All right, before we get into the program, let's go ahead and give that shout out to our sponsors.
Let's do it. Let's say hello to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself your own AR in the past 5 years, probably got one of their barrels and don't even know it. Now you can buy a new barrel for your own build or rebarrel the AR you currently have. So easy enough. Hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. California Republican Assembly. You want some awesome field gear, tactical gear, cold weather gear, snow gear, get your butt over to uscombatgear.com. And of course, if you want some of the best tactical holsters out there, concealment holsters, inside the waistband holsters, Kydex, handmade, veteran owned, get over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. And use the discount code The Rundown, all one word, all caps, no spaces.
Folks, these sponsors bring us to you so that they hope that, you know, we'll bring you to them. So do us a favor. We're trying to do that, but you got to follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, check them out. If you see what you like, spend some money with them, become a member, and make sure you let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Also, once again, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know that you partake of the program and how you partake. And let them know that even if they don't want to partake the way you partake, they can still do so wherever they get their podcasts, wherever they watch their online videos. You can find us: Spotify, OpsLens, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and once again, anywhere you get your podcasts, whether it's iHeartRadio, whether it's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, once again, Spotify, wherever you listen, you can listen as well. I don't care how you partake, as long as you partake.
It must really be your anniversary because you almost said my heart instead of I heart.
I did. I almost said my heart. I love you, babe. All right, let's get into today's program. Are the Twitter files being censored? I'm always looking at it, and once again, I spend a little bit of time every day just kind of looking and reading the news. And I read the news on the right and the left. And when I say that there are two very different stories of what's going on in this country, let me just be real with you. I am being very obvious. There are definitely two very different stories. Now think about this. This is the largest censorship story. And when I say censorship, I mean government censorship. There is evidence, concrete evidence, that the FBI, the CIA, and other government agencies were not only coordinating with social media, in this case Twitter, but they were paying them. They gave them money to censor speech with which they disagreed, to withhold information from the American public, right? We now know this. Folks, this is a huge scandal. But if one goes and Googles the Twitter files, right? I want you to notice something here. I want you to see this real quick. I went and I decided to go ahead and Google it, right? And what you see here is you see Fox News, you see National Review, a conservative publication. You see Fox News again, News Nation, which right now is claiming to be nonpartisan. It is yet to see, but it's a relatively new venture. Fox News, a couple of local stations, India Today. Do you notice something that's missing from this, Mike? Tell me if you notice something missing from it.
I'm not seeing. Let's see. Let's take a look again. One more time with Twitter files alleged, rigged. Twitter files of what do they matter? I'm not seeing. Besides CBS, I'm not seeing any mainstream really carrying it. Well, you got CNN there; they're carrying it. Okay.
But Mike, when you go to the mainstream, here's what you get. So in other words,
yeah, you're not seeing anything about Craig. I'm sorry, the obvious on my face. I'm trying to dig deeper into it. You're not seeing anything out there about. Oh, look, here's the true story. Here's what really happened, as opposed to our reinterpretation of everything.
Right. What they're doing here is that when the mainstream media talks about it, they're using it to discredit Trump.
Yes.
I mean, not Trump. They're using it to discredit Elon Musk. They're always trying to discredit Trump. But they're really trying to use it when they talk about it. They're not talking about, once again, the censorship that actually took place. They're not talking about the millions of dollars that was paid to Twitter in order to compensate them for the censorship that took place, or that they silenced medical professionals who disagreed with the government narrative. None of that. That they actually knowingly interfered with a presidential campaign by withholding vital information or information. I don't know that I would call it vital information, but relevant information about the president's dealings with Hunter Biden and his business dealings. None of that is included there. You had the FBI come out and call it a conspiracy theory, right? And now what you've got, and that's what's so funny, because guess what you got? Exactly what I showed you right there. NPR calling it a conspiracy theory.
Yep. And as we showed you within the past day or two, listen, the FBI and the CIA were both involved in having Twitter suppress certain information. So this was not a conspiracy theory. This was just, well, at the time it was fact, and now it's just proven fact.
Well, and what's interesting about it, Mike, is that Elon Musk chose journalists to release this information to that were, one was Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone, clearly was a lefty, right? But wasn't getting down with all of this censorship stuff. And so now he's been referred to as a right-wing extremist. You have Barry Weiss, once again, former opinion columnist for the New York Times. Once again, not a conservative, right? Definitely, you go back and read some of his stuff, is definitely left-leaning, but now they're accusing him of being a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I mean, they're literally, it is, once again, if it is not it's censorship. That's exactly what it is. And once again, I'm sure that if we go back, you find it's being done because, well, part of it, the reason why it's being done by social media and by the Twitter, because Google doesn't want you to know that, yeah, we were censoring too. We know, they just don't want the evidence out there. They don't want you thinking about it or talking about it. And then the media companies, they don't want to admit that they didn't bother to look beyond they didn't want to look beyond the obvious, beyond the stuff that was being spoon-fed to them by the Biden administration.
Yeah. Yes, and that's, right there. Again, how many times do we have to see this, that we have the administration and the media in cahoots to release the information they want released to you, and not what is that stuff? The truth.
Oh no, the truth. You see, here's the problem. The truth will set you free, and they don't want you to be free.
No, definitely not. Just the same way the truth set Jeffrey Epstein free is what they want for you.
That's the sort of freedom they want. Freedom from this life.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
By the way, in case you didn't know, Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself.
He did not.
We might lose another YouTube channel by saying that, but Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself.
Absolutely. Just like my Christmas tree lights, they didn't hang themselves.
They did not hang themselves. But those are not the only lies that are being told by our administration and by the mainstream media. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on there at our southern border, shall we? It's amazing how all of a sudden recently we're starting to see information that is being put out there about what is going on at our southern border, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm telling you the wrong story. I skipped ahead. Hold it. Let's talk about the lies that are being told about job numbers, right? The lies that were being told about the Inflation Reduction Act. And the reason why this has become relevant is because all of a sudden now there are numbers out tied to the Inflation Reduction Act. If you might remember, back in, I think it was July, they were touting over 1.1 million jobs, over 1.5 million jobs. They were saying that there were 1.5 million jobs created in the month of July alone. And that was at the time they were pushing the Inflation Reduction Act. Well, those numbers are based on quote unquote estimates. This is their excuse. Well, we base those numbers based on, estimates. And now that they have the real numbers, turns out they overstated it by, 1.1 million jobs. 1.1 million jobs. They overstated it. And it was all done, once again, in an attempt to further the Inflation Reduction Act, which, Mike, you and I both know did absolutely nothing. Did nothing to reduce inflation.
Oh, it put money in the pockets of Biden supporters is what it did. It really did. In companies and industry, we're gonna feed this money into the economy and stir jobs and give them back. No. It gave money and incentives to those that are in the liberal pocket, so to speak.
Well, Mike, and not only that, there's already been information that's come out, and there have been studies that have done that show that a significant amount of the inflation in which we're dealing with is a result of government overspending, the government putting too much money into the economy. It's the reason why we're seeing we're seeing interest rates shoot up to try and cool down the economy, because even still to this day, there are people that are receiving more money by being off work than they would be if they were actually working. But, we don't want to talk about any of that.
Can you bring that story back up? I just want to point out a little odd fact. I don't know if you picked up on this, or I'm not familiar with this author. I know that it appears as though it's factual information. But,
hold on a second. I'm looking for it.
That's me doing. There's my ice maker over there. There's my on-air sign.
Which one is it? I'm sorry. Here it goes. There it is. Found it. There you go.
Can you zoom in on the picture of Tyler Durden there?
Tyler Durden? Oh.
Tyler Durden. Just my Mac, I could just I could go the whole thing, just zoom in.
Okay, hold on.
I could do a zoom in.
I gotta come over here. Taking a second.
We're taking a look here, folks, at I want to see the image here of Tyler Durden, the author here. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay. Who you recognize the face there?
Oh yeah, that's Brad Pitt.
That's Brad Pitt
from
Tyler
Fight Club.
Durden was the character. Tyler Durden was the character he played in then Fight Club. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I was just curious. I thought that's what it was. All right. I don't know that it means anything, Craig. The story seems legit. I checked all the sources. Maybe it's just his pseudonym. He doesn't like going by his real name because he doesn't want to get Epsteined. But I just thought that was odd. Again, we looked through the story. I know Craig did. I did. Verified these and other sources. It's not just a one source article we're giving information on. Right.
So there are other places where you can find the story, and the challenge is that let's just put it, they got a paywall, and I've hit my maximum number of stories at their site.
No, I got you. It's tough.
Sorry, folks. Look, hey, if you want us to have the stories from the other places, maybe you need to visit our sponsors more, kick them down some more cash, so they kick us down some more cash, so we can afford some of these subscriptions.
Now, listen, I'm unlike you, Craig. I refuse to pay for my news. All right, I'm not paying for. I'll pay $1 a day for a newspaper if I want it, and I know that's going to end up in the long run costing me a lot more money than $1 a month at the New York Times. But no, I could stand at the news counter and read the front page if I want to.
Right. I just don't want to. I don't want one for some of those sources. I don't want to give them any of my money. I do not want them to economically prosper because I know that they are pitching and selling lies. Even when they do from time to time tell the truth, I don't want to support them. And for other sources, I'll click on ads. That's how I'll support you.
Yeah, true, and I like when I hit a paywall because now it says, "Oh, now I'm going to find this information, and I'm going to go find 3 sources to tell me all about it." Yeah,
exactly. And I try not to use conservative sources only because when you're talking with people on the left, they automatically, that came from Fox News, automatically discredited. Washington Times, automatically discredited. I love it when I find the stuff that undermines their argument from their own news sources.
Yeah. Very much true.
But anyway, I digress. So yes, they lied about the Inflation Reduction Act. But as I said before, that's not all that they lied about. In fact, there's a poll out where they're talking about the media and their coverage of what's going on at the border. And Mike, it's a trip because I came to realize that what was I going to say? I'm sorry, I'm having to fix this thing over here now. I came to realize that there was a serious problem when I was debating someone. I think I told you this the other day. We were debating what was going on at the border, and they had no idea what was going on at the border. But what's happened is now media polls have shown that, in essence, politicians have been hiding the numbers from Americans. Most people had absolutely no idea how many people over the last 2 years have entered this country illegally through our southern border. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but that number is of the ones we know of is well north of 4 million people over the last 2 years. 5 million over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gone crazy. Remember, we were down to, under a couple thousand a month that we were having to deal with to 100,000 a month now at this point. And that's not just Texas. Listen, that runs the gamut from the Gulf of Mexico out to the Pacific. There, all along the entire, the border of Mexico. It's gone crazy through the roof, and it's all verifiable.
And it's about to go up. And now all of a sudden people are starting to hear about it. In part because some of the Democrats who represent either congressional districts at the southern border or represent cities at the southern border, even now they are starting to step up and say, look, President, you need to get down here. You need to see what's going on because this is crazy. This is ridiculous. And so now all of a sudden the media is picking it up, and people who are like, what are we going to do about this? And I'm like, we Republicans have been talking about this for almost 2 years, right? And then when you start talking about things like building a wall or have a strict stay in Mexico policy, oh, well, that's not going to work. It's like, it's funny. That's exactly what worked when Donald Trump was president.
Yeah, the Democrats have gone through 3 stages over this. Remember, Craig, it's, oh, no, there's no problem at the border at all. We love these people. We love these people. Then they went to, there's no problem at the border at all. Will somebody please tell them to stop this? And now they're at, okay, we need to stop this. Okay, we got to stop this. Just, there's a problem. There's a problem. They've gone from total denial to denial in secret to, okay, there's a problem. We need help.
Well, there are reports out of the White House that Joe Biden was livid and was cursing up a storm because no one was doing anything about illegal immigration. Yet out of his administration, nothing was happening. Nothing still to this day is happening, which goes to show you, by the way, Joe Biden is not in charge. Just so you know, he's not running things. We don't know who is running things, but it definitely is not Joe Biden.
When he went on his tirade, how many times do you think he said the word Jack, and then he did the old timey fighting stance?
Dadgummit!
Listen here, Jack.
Not a joke.
Why don't you meet me outside?
But once again, and the media, by the way, just folks, so you know, the reason why we point out the media is because the media is his accomplice. The media helped to hide him during the election because they hated Donald Trump so much. And they've hidden every single failure. You notice if you want to hear about all of his verbal gaffes and all of this stupid stuff that he says, you notice you can't go to liberal media and find it. None of it is there. Same thing with Kamala Harris. All they report on is how bad their numbers are, right? Well, they're misunderstood. They cover for them, and it's like, no, you elected a couple of idiots. Well, one, he's mentally challenged. He's old. He's senile. The other one is an idiot. Period. And you helped elect the mainstream media. And so you are responsible for the failure that their administration has become.
Absolutely right. Now, listen, they willingly supported and helped elect an individual who has, debilitating disease, dementia, whatever form it happens to be, and then a vice president who likes the way the windows taste on the inside of the short post.
Oh me, oh my. All right, moving right along. No bail advocacy, and I went one step ahead. No bail advocacy is a pretty big deal in places like California, New York, and a lot of your major metropolitan, a lot of your blue states. And these policies did not just happen on their own. There are groups out there that advocate for these policies, and one such group, one such group where is this at? One such group, Zero Bail Advocacy Policy, has actually been shut down because there's an individual that they were responsible for getting out of jail, right? He was a felon, and he shot a waiter, a 11 times. And this was the guy who got out, who was released on a policy that was pushed by this particular group. Where are we at here? This is MN Minnesota Freedom Fund. This is an example of, by the way, your vice president who's advocating for this group, which is all for getting rid of bail. Anyway, Mike, we've seen time and again. This is just the most recent and probably one of the more violent examples of, once again, someone who was released based on smart on crime policies pushed by Kamala Harris, pushed by Joe Biden, pushed by Gavin Newsom, pushed by all of these lefties. And once again, an innocent individual has been victimized by it.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. Now, I'm curious. I read the story. I didn't see it in there. Do you have any information on what the waiter allegedly did?
I did not see anything relating to what the waiter actually had done. It didn't really. At least I didn't see anything.
Yeah, listen. No matter what this guy did, he shot this individual 11 times. I've had some bad service, and maybe I understand it. Don't approve of it, but I might understand it. So I was just curious what he did. Craig, we talked about this. Was it yesterday? Decriminalizing crime, right? That this is part of it. This is the no bail. Well, bail is prejudicial against those that are economically challenged. No, how about you're a felon and you don't get bail? That's the whole reason for bail was to keep you from going back out and do crimes if your crime, the previous crime, had a propensity towards more violence. Okay, that's why you don't get out. Clearly, there's a failure here. Here's a guy who was a felon, appears to be a violent felon. We're going to give him no bail. Hopefully, he's good. Nope, shot a dude 11 times. Probably not the best thing in the world. You give bail based on the amount of severity you think they're going to commit if they're not given bail. All right. And that bail, normally there's a bail schedule, a calendar. Okay. This equals this equals that. If you do a burglary, you get 10,000 bail. If you do a robbery, you get 20,000 bail. But the judges always had the ability to say, okay, hold on. You're Elon Musk. For instance, he has committed no crime. We're not alleging Elon Musk has committed any crime, but say Elon Musk got arrested for a crime. Instead of saying, the judge, instead of them saying we're going to give you a $10,000 fine, they could say we're going to give you a $10 billion, not fine, bail, because it's meant to keep you from going back on the streets to commit further crimes. So the judge has had a minimum standard he's had to set that for before, and always had the ability to go up above and beyond based on the financial well-being of the individual arrested. To take that away completely is only going to continue to lead to individuals shooting the waiter 11 times when they should have had bail and been in jail.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to get rid of bail, then if there's an objective, and when I say objective, there's got to be a way in which to keep violent criminals locked up. And for example, we had an instance in California where an individual was in jail for attacking a police officer, California Highway Patrolman, was released, right? Was released from jail, and then went and killed his two children and a person who was chaperoning the meeting with them. You got a guy who was sentenced to, and this wasn't even a bail thing, this was more early release. He was sentenced to jail for 10 years for beating his girlfriend and dragging her face down across the concrete, right? He got out after serving only 4 years and was involved in a gang-style mass shooting in downtown Sacramento. And that's, those are just two examples. In this particular case, it turns out it appears to be a robbery gone wrong, or I don't know if robbery gone wrong, but there's camera footage of the guy outside of this restaurant in Las Vegas. And he, he basically went in and they said he unloaded his gun. They don't know if there was really any reason or rationale except that it was probably more than likely a robbery. And the group that advocated, that helped to get him released, was this group called the Bail Project. And anyway, and they're being sued right now by this individual's family. Once again, because it turns out the guy who got arrested was out, should have been locked up, or at the very least should have been, if he was going to be out on bail, should have been out on bail, but was just released on his own recognizance, and was thus free to be able to conduct this heinous crime.
Right, and if the bail had been in place, he may not have been released. Again, it's a matter of the court saying, I want you to be vested in returning to appear before me later, so you get your, the percentage of your money back, as opposed to just letting them go. And like I said, that bail is set towards something that should be restrictive enough to where they don't want to lose the bail if they do go back and commit the crime, or they don't want to lose the bail if they don't show up. Right.
Exactly. Anyway, folks, that's why it got shut down. That group got shut down, and I'm very happy that they got shut down. The sad part is that once again, it took an individual getting shot. Well, he was shot at 11 times. He was actually hit 7 times, but
Oh, okay.
Oh, that changes the whole story.
I go back on my story then.
But anyway, so yeah, once again, this is a group that clearly needs to be shut down, because once again, the policies for which they're advocating have a detrimental effect, and people don't want to look beyond the initial, like the stage 1 of how bad some of this stuff is.
You are correct.
All right, time to move on to our parting shots, brought to you by Hog Holsters. That's hogholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. Folks, the great thing is they give us the opportunity to encourage, not just to encourage you, but they give you a discount code. All you got to use is the rundown. You see it right there. It's right there. It's right there. The discount code, the rundown, all caps, no spaces. Put that in and get your discount and get your hog holster today. All right, our first one is we'll call it dealing with the vaccine truth. For those of you who chose to get vaccinated, I was one of them. For those of you who've chosen to get boosters, I'm not one of them. Some of you may be dealing with this. You want to describe this one for the folks?
You've got Lori Lightfoot sitting in the middle there, talking a shrunken head on one time and a witch doctor on the other side, on each side. And
you mean Dr. Fauci on the other side?
Yeah, exactly. It says, which vaccine did you take?
Oh, yes, that is funny. But the truth is that there's some aspects of it that are not incredibly humorous. And I'm still, and I will continue to say this, there are a number of individuals that I've either read about or a couple of people that I know who are young and otherwise healthy, who got vaccinated and or boosted, and just for some reason out of nowhere had died, would wind up dying of a heart condition. Unspeculated, unspecified heart issues. I think that is something that they've covered up. I think there's data and information out there that they have covered it up. It's something that, while it is rare, is still, in fact, a side effect that they refuse to acknowledge.
Killed Hank Aaron. Vaccine killed Hank Aaron. And many, many others. And we'll never know.
Anyway, so sorry to put a sour note on a fun moment, but that be what that is. The second one here has a little bit to do with, for those of you who do not know, there's been a change in IRS law and policy, and in essence, all of those companies that you use, for example, like Venmo or PayPal or Zelle, Cash App, if you receive more than $600, they are supposed to be reporting that information to the IRS, right? For you and for people in which, basically to give them an incentive, the IRS an incentive to invest, the federal government, an opportunity or reason to investigate you. Well, Rand Paul in this particular meme is Venmoing $600.01 to Ukraine. So the country's finances will have to be audited.
There you go. Get him, Rand. Get him.
Folks, I'm just going to say this. I definitely believe it's important that we're engaged there in that we were engaged in the war in Ukraine. My concern is that if we just keep dumping money and resources over there and we have no accountability for where those resources are going, that in and of itself is foolish. It is highly foolish because keep in mind, Ukraine was part of the former Soviet Union, and therefore they are as good at propaganda as their friends over there in Russia. So it's important that just because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, that ain't enough to be kicking down more money and resources than all of the other countries involved in this put together.
Craig, but it's more like the enemy of the country that pays my son $100,000 a month to sit on a gas and oil board is my enemy.
There you go. All right, there you go. My point is there's reason for there's reasonable foundation for skepticism, and we ought to be skeptical. We ought not to just be writing blank checks. And I think that's where Rand Paul is. He's like, look, especially when we got areas where we could be spending some of that money here. Just saying.
That's right. We could, if we had more money and Build Back Better, I think where we'd be even better off.
There you go. Now this last one I gotta say is right up my alley. Although the number of pages cited is a little high, but I won't hold that against him. But you might recall that there was the bill that was recently passed, the spending bill, was over 4,100 pages, 3 times as long as the Bible. Now who knows? Maybe there were additional pages in trailer bills or whatnot, but. We know that there was no way that they had an opportunity to read that entire bill, and yet you had people on both sides of the aisle vote to support it. Obviously, more Democrats than Republicans, but Republicans got their pork nonetheless. But since we know that they didn't read it, maybe we should take advantage of the fact that they're not reading bills. As this meme right here says, since nobody reads the 5,592 page bills, let's slip in term limits.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, pop them in there. If they're not going to read it, let's vote the bums out. But did we use that one yesterday, or am I just confused?
No, we did not use that one yesterday.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
That's right. I got to tell you, I have issues with term limits because I've seen what it's done in the California legislature. I would like to see it implemented more the way in which it is now, because they've actually extended the term limits as opposed to, because before in California it was 6 years in the Assembly, 8 years in the Senate. And so what happened was for members of the Assembly, they were out before they were not out, but they were lame ducks before they even knew where the bathrooms were. Now they've changed it so that it's a total. So I think it's 12 years total. So whether it's in the Assembly or the Senate, it's a maximum of 12 years. I think to me, 10 years or 12 years, that makes more sense than the 6 and 8 rule.
This is one of those areas where you deviate off to the left with the term limit thing. I would just tell you to take a look at places like, I don't know, Florida, that's had term limits for 30 years, and it's actually makes our state a better place.
Well, it has not made California a better place. I can tell you right now. The worst part is that the Democrats have gotten worse and the Republicans have gotten even worse. The Republicans have gotten dumber. They have. Well,
that's the quality of your politician, not the quality of the law.
Right. Well, all I know is it ain't worked in California, so I got my issues with it.
And we hope you stay here in California and continue to work on it. Don't be bringing them liberal ideas to my state. Don't be Californian up my Florida.
So tell me about Florida term limits real quick. What are the term limits?
It's the same way. It's the governor's 8 years. I believe it's 6 or 4 terms, 8 years in the House and 2 terms in the Senate. So
okay, that's reasonable. I can do that. I can do 8 years. That's about what I'm talking about. I guess what I'm saying is for us, it was like two. It was like in particular in the lower house, it was 6 years, which really was not. The problem is that you have the first year you're figuring things out. The second term is when you can get stuff done, and the last term you're kind of a lame duck.
Listen, if you don't find a bathroom by the end of the first week, then you don't deserve to be there. If you need 2 years to figure out how Congress works, you need to be going home after 2 weeks.
Well, obviously it's a lot different than you think it is. I will just put it to you that way. Anyone who thinks it is that simple, yeah, it's just not. I wish it were. It should be. It was meant to be. It's supposed to be, but it's not that simple.
Yeah, in Florida, it's 4 consecutive terms. Like I said, 8 years in the state, and then it's in the House, the lower house, and then 2 years in the 2 terms in the Senate. And there's a total number of years you can spend in either. So combined.
I like those numbers. I'm good with those numbers.
Yeah. And of course, the governor, our state senators only serve 4-year terms. That's where I was getting confused. Okay. Federal senators, 6-year terms. Our state senators only serve 4.
Yes.
So then it's a maximum of 16 years between the 2 you can serve.
Okay. Yeah. No, those are good numbers. I like them.
Yep.
Better than what we have here.
Yes.
Anyway.
Very much.
Well, that's going to be it today, folks. Quick shout out to our sponsors before we go.
HitmanIndustries.net, HitmanIndustries.net, rifle and pistol caliber barrels, rifle and pistol lengths. Go to HitmanIndustries.net. California Republican Assembly. Help Craig get rid of some of them dumb Republicans out there. He's talking about you could be the future of California today at California Republican Assembly. USCombatGear.com. Go ahead and get yourself some of the most awesome tactical gear, web gear, field gear, wet weather gear, cold weather gear you can have at USCombatGear.com.
Yeah, folks, just to be clear, when I talk about California Republicans, I'm specifically referring to the California Republicans that anywhere else in the country would probably be Democrats by any measurable standard. The Republicans supported by the California Republican Assembly, they are the Republican wing of the Republican Party here in the state of California. So there are plenty of us, but some of the weak-kneed jackasses in elephant suits, they need a backbone or they need to be gone. So helps the RA. Just saying.
There you go.
On that note, we're going to call it a day. We will be back tomorrow. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We'll see you tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday.
Happy anniversary to you and Mrs. Craig.
Thank you. Goodbye.